One of the sad things about the current state of many big cities in the United States of America is the fact that despite what you might think, it is not inevitable that they turned out this way. It is not something that could not have been prevented. It is not something that could not have been fixed. And the reason we know that is because a bunch of these major cities have actually had significant progress in crime, and that has been undone largely due to the agenda items put forward by the Black Lives Matter rioters, this activist group that said that police was evil, white, and racist, it needed to be defunded, have done unbelievable, untold damage across this nation, and one of the great examples of that damage is the city of Oakland. And that's what I want to talk about today, this insane story out of the city of Oakland of a restaurant that is on the verge of closing because they've had 4 robberies within the last month, including a situation where they were able to fight off the robbers only for them to return to strike again within a couple of minutes because the police never actually showed up in time in order to defend these people because the police have been defunded. But before we get into this, I just want to say thank you to everybody who signed up on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. The first thing that you guys need to see is this local news report about the state of crime from 2018 all the way back to 2015.
Certainly welcome. This is a city that has averaged more than 100 homicides a year for the last 4+ decades. And today, Oakland leaders releasing the annual crime data report, which they say shows a steady 5-year decline in shootings, homicides, and robberies. There were 75 homicides occurring in Oakland last year. That is down from 85 in 2016, and that follows that downward trend. 2016 brought a 12% drop in violent crime versus the 5-year average and a 20% drop in robbery.
So the reason I opened with that old news segment from just a couple of years ago is because a lot of people, anytime I mention a place like Oakland or New Orleans or whatever, will say that that place always sucked. That place was always terrible. You can't report on the decline of that place because guess what? They've always had problems with criminality. And for a large part of Oakland's history, yes, that was in fact true. But the thing is, as recently as 2018 back to 2015, we saw significant reductions in crime in the city of Oakland. We saw a normalization of low crime rates that could have been something that could have been maintained, just like had happened in other parts in this country very notably. However, it was completely undone because the secret behind that success, as stated in that local news piece, was more policing, more patrols, more data-driven policing, and better use of technology.
The police department has credited the improvement on a more prominent police presence and getting help from the community. With better technology, more residents and business owners are giving police video evidence of crime.
Well, all of that has been rolled back in the city of Oakland. After the Black Lives Matter riots, they voted to defund the police. They voted to shed about 50 officers from their department because they decided that the police, who were driving down crimes to historic lows just prior to the Black Lives Matter riots, were actually the problem, not the solution. And the real solution was to never prosecute any criminal for anything and see how that turns out. On top of that, they ended up electing for the Alameda District Attorney, which covers this specific area, one Pamela Price, who ran on a program of not prosecuting anyone for anything.
23-month-old Jasper Wu lost his life to a stray bullet while riding in his car seat.
It happened because 2 rival gangs were having a rolling gun battle on Highway 880.
3 men, Trevor Green, Johnny Jackson, and Ivory Bevins, have their preliminary hearing on murder charges in 3 weeks.
And Pamela Price set the tone very early. She made her agenda clear from the jump, and a perfect example of this is the way that she handled the Jasper Wu case. Jasper Wu was an infant. I believe he was between 1 and 2 years old. He was sitting in a vehicle in a car seat when all of a sudden there was a gang shootout. Rival gang members shooting at each other on the highway. They ended up striking and killing Jasper Wu, and then when the family reached out to her office,
a member of the AAPI community asked Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price for an update on the case. And Price sent this email yesterday that reads in part, "Our office is currently working on a partnership with the Asian Law Caucus to support AAPI victims of violence in ways that open up broader possibilities for healing and non-carceral forms of accountability." non-carceral, meaning no jail time, even for violent criminals.
Which, by the way, they needed the news to reach out to her office on their behalf because she refused to meet with them. They got a message from her about how they were looking at a non-carceral solution to this particular problem. So you have gangbangers shooting up the highway, trying to murder each other, so careless with their shots that they ended up killing a child, a toddler, a baby, an infant. And Pamela Price said, you know what? These guys are actually innocent angel baby infants, and we need to figure out a way to not send them to jail, to not incarcerate them, because all they did was recklessly murder that child while trying to murder each other, and that's probably due to the fact that they needed food for their starving families.
If I were Jasper's parents, I would be highly offended. And I would be very fearful.
Now you combined that kind of defund the police attitude from the mayor's office with that kind of I'm going to protect the criminal no matter what attitude from Pamela Price with stupid statewide California laws like the fact that you can't send anybody to prison for virtually anything unless it's considered a serious violent felony. By the way, that includes a bunch of actually violent felonies that they don't just take seriously enough. So then all of these inmates end up being incarcerated in the county jail, except there's no room in the county jail, so they basically get dumped on the streets over and over again, only to reoffend, and this is an issue statewide in California that they can't really solve unless they do something about it, change the law, build some more prisons, and put more people or make more offenses eligible for prison, you know, like a sensible society would. And what's the result of all this? More crime, obviously. That's exactly what happens when defund the police takes over at the mayor's office and don't prosecute anyone takes over at the district attorney's office. And we've seen insane things out of the city of Oakland. We've seen the first ever In-N-Out closing in their 76-year history happen in Oakland due to crime, not due to the fact that this place is unprofitable. But that kind of effect has been happening to other businesses across the board, including small businesses. And what I want to show you is what's been going down in this local pizza place, so you could just get a taste of the people who are being victimized not just by the criminal, but by the system that caters to them.
He grabbed the hammer. So he was like, we have to defend.
Employees at Cybel's Pizza along Fruitvale Avenue in Oakland's Diamond District have resorted to defending themselves after the most recent robbery Friday.
So I just want to say right off the bat that I love the spirit of this video. I love the fact that this employee has had enough with the criminal, has had enough with crime, and they decided that they were going to pick up a hammer and wield it at this perpetrator. But the thing that I don't love about this is the fact that this is the fourth robbery in the year 2024. By the way, we're in the beginning of February 2024, and this actually occurred last Friday, so this is essentially 4 robberies of the same location within a month, and the reason why criminals are so emboldened is because everything in the city of Oakland has given them a green light to target people like this.
They went into my shop yesterday around 10:30 p.m. They tried to steal the register. Another of my 2 employees, he grabbed the hammer and he threw it to his foot so they can't leave.
So as you can see right there, the criminal is going for the cash register, just yanking the damn thing off because it's not enough for these people to rob the joint. They gotta cause as much damage as humanly possible. And this is where the video gets more entertaining in my view, because you just see a milk crate being thrown across the counter at this criminal, and eventually the employee picks up the hammer and tries to throw it Mjolnir style in this criminal's face and basically hits that person in the foot.
He came into the shop again and they were like trying to catch them. They were very, very brave.
But here's the amazing thing about this, is that this guy, this criminal, because this was such a hotspot, because it has been easy to rob so many different times, even after that, and you can see it right here with the cash register being flipped over and the employees being relatively calm, returns to the store to attempt to rob it again, and still the store employees, it's on them in order to chase these people down. This is what happens when you defund your police force. This is what happens when you cut the number of officers that are on the beat. Everyday citizens that are poorly armed with hammers and milk crates have to not only fight off the criminal, but when the criminal returns, they then have to attempt to capture them. So yes, these employees are very brave, and I'm very supportive of them, but the thing is, this is kind of a moment of self-preservation for them because they're on the cusp of losing their jobs due to the fact that there's so much crime at this particular pizza place.
Owner Elizabeth Sanchez says this is just one of 4 break-in robberies at their Oakland location location this year.
Every other week or like weekly.
Now, as you can see right here from this other surveillance video, this is a common tactic in terms of the robbery. You blitz into the store, you grab the cash register, you take off. It happens to be a pizza shop. They're more likely to do cash than credit card transactions. So you end up ruining an entire day's worth of income for this business, all because they've made it so easy for the criminal to do so. And by the way, if Pamela Price would have arrested this person, just think about how they would be treated by her district attorney's office. She let go or wanted to have a non-carceral solution for the murderers of a 23-month-old baby who were killed in a crazy gang shooting on a highway where they were trying to murder each other. So what do you think she's going to do for this store owner, for this pizza shop, for these employees? She's probably going to give that guy a reward. She's probably going to shake his hand, and she's probably going to talk about how this pizza owner is actually an evil white racist, despite the fact that she's clearly Hispanic.
Elizabeth says the crime in the area is so bad, it's hard to retain workers.
It is just 7 days a week working on it from the morning to closing.
And she's considering closing the location.
Sales are dropping down.
So this is really depressing. You see the front of her store, you see the glass is smashed, there's broken glass inside the store, and this is just an everyday occurrence that she has to deal with the neighborhood that she lives in, due in large part to the fact that people looked at a successful police department, they saw that they were doing great work, and then all of a sudden Black Lives Matter rioters were rioting about an incident in Minneapolis, and they decided that they needed to act. They decided that they needed to virtue signal. The left wing in Oakland decided that this was their opportunity to strip down and destroy law and order, peace and security, all to get praise at cocktail parties from leftists who don't even go into areas like this, yet have really big, grand ideas about how if you just remove the police, it would become such a peaceful, cohesive community.
Sales are dropping down because nobody wants to come out. Nobody. They're scared for the safety. 20% of the sales. We're worse than the pandemic.
So here you have this business owner who is providing jobs to people in the community, providing services to people in the community, feeding them with pizza, and everybody loves pizza, even if it is your crappy California pizza. Yes, I'm a New York pizza elitist, deal with it. And they're losing sales at a clip greater than during the pandemic, when the actual physical location was for all intents and purposes shut down by the rabid, psychopathic governor of California, Gavin Newsom.
20% of the sales. We're worse than the pandemic.
Yeah, that's right. The criminals in this area have driven away business so much more than the pandemic, when they could basically only do delivery only. Now the place is going to shut down. Now the place is in the red. Now the place is financially struggling, showing you that these criminals, these thugs, these absolute monsters in the city of Oakland are worse than the virus.
A representative from the mayor's office tells me they've been working with Elizabeth and other small business owners in the area on strengthening security.
Chantal, and then the chief Mendoza, she said that they're working on it. They're working so they can have a budget for the damaged district and the Laurel district, so they can have security, more security for the 7 days a week.
So to be clear, the mayor's office promised to have more security in this particular area, to have security there 7 days a week, is a lie. It is nonsensical. You know why? They don't have the budget to send out the officers based on the data in order to make arrests, in order to prevent this from happening, because that same mayor's office cut the funding to their police. What she actually might be talking about, due to the fact that she's saying security rather than policing, is those stupid, ridiculous violence interrupters who don't do anything to prevent crime, but sometimes will walk up to the crime scene as you're being victimized and then call the police, and then the police won't show up because they had their funding cut for stupid ass programs like these violence interrupters. So yeah, if I had a bet whether this place would be open in 6 months, whether or not these discount Walmart looking, can't even get a real security license kind of force that Oakland is thinking about putting in this area would have prevented the crime, I would tell you to start ordering pizza from Domino's, because this place ain't gonna be there for long.
Elizabeth hopes it's a promise the city will keep, on behalf of not just Cybels.
All the business owners need help. In-N-Out, Denny's, those are the big change. They're closing down. What about us, the small business? Where we at?
Yes, that is correct. All of these businesses are shutting down. This pro sports teams are fleeing Oakland. Everything about Oakland seems to be falling apart. And I know that somebody out there is going to say, Sean, but isn't this the fault of poverty? Why can't we get in any of these surveillance videos a description of what poverty was wearing? So maybe, just maybe, those violence interrupters can finally call the police, give them that description, and that can lead to the arrest of poverty. Well, you're wrong. You're incorrect. You're not even close. They were able to reduce this criminality, not with an anti-poverty program and not in some far-off land, but in the city of Oakland by hiring more police, using better technology, making more arrests, and prosecuting more criminals. Because, spoiler alert, crime drives poverty, not the other way around. Look at all these businesses that are closing. Those are employees that are now out of a job. These are areas where the insurance costs in order to operate a business are going up. These are areas where the profit margins for these businesses are down. All of that is leading to the closure, and these storefronts are not being replaced. So that's leading to the dilapidation of the neighborhood, which brings down the property values, thus creating a death spiral that pushes you further and further into poverty. And the origin point of that death spiral is the unchecked criminality. It doesn't have to be this way. Oakland has shown us as recently as 2018, I know it's such a far off year, that they can actually do something about it. And guess what? They're not going to, because they don't have the will to do so. They're too committed to their stupid ideology. And unless they recall the mayor and Pamela Price, the district attorney, and get some changes in state laws, then you can expect to see this occur over and over again into the future. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the destruction of Oakland. Till next time.